Hello, Rob Fellows here. Thank you for watching video 1. We covered stuff like what is Reiki, where does it come from, and how to explain the benefits of Reiki to someone who hasn't heard of it before. So do go back and check that out later if you've missed it. Remember, if you ever have periods of stress or anxiety, or are suffering from any health conditions that get worse when you feel stressed or anxious, or if you prefer to work with animals and want to improve their well-being, well, you should consider looking at Reiki to help you. Reiki is a natural energy healing therapy that involves no manipulation, no invasion, no pulling, prodding or pushing, and can only be used for good healing purposes. I first learned Reiki in 1999 primarily to help my arthritic Springer Spaniel named Joe. I then went on pretty quickly to Reiki level 2, and then to enhance my skills still further, in 2008 I became a Reiki master. Since 2011 I've been training many other people in the skills of Reiki, so that they can give Reiki to themselves, their loved ones, and to a whole variety of different animals. That has allowed me to help people like Angela, who is a dog groomer and says that her back is so much better since learning Reiki. And she has even been able to cut the nails of a Cocker Spaniel client of hers who for years used to get in such a state that the owner had to go to the vets. And Karen, who tells me that she had the best night's sleep ever and has practiced on her daughter before bed, and she too went to sleep straight away. She says, I feel like I have the power to be a super mum this morning. So, let's get into the nuts and bolts of it. I'm going to answer more of the top questions I've received. But before I do, a quick reminder. You can get extra information and even extra help with a special offer, but it's such a special offer it will only be around for a few days. And I'll say more about that in the next video. Okay. Here are some more of the top questions. The first covers queries from a number of people about whether Reiki can help with particular health conditions, such as IBS, overcoming fear, and help with children with ADHD. Well, the answer to that is yes, on all counts. The primary benefits of Reiki is to instill a sort of calm and to help to lower stress. Now, in my view, an awful lot, and I'm not a doctor, I would hasten to add, but in my view, an awful lot of people's physical problems could stem from stress-related problems or from traumas that have been experienced in our lives. And by traumas, I'm talking, big things like bereavement or death, death of a loved one, or a loss in some way, or maybe bullying at work or redundancy, like big life-changing traumas that we tend to experience, but then we don't necessarily deal with it fully at the time, and we kind of pack it down. And so these kind of stresses that we have, these traumas that we perhaps experience in our lives, don't get dealt with, and at somewhere along the line, that's got to come out. It's got to manifest itself, and often it can manifest itself in a whole host of health conditions. Now, I'm not saying that's the case for everybody, of course not, but and I know I'm generalizing, but this is my view, that an awful lot of physical problems stem from stress-related issues. And so if you can keep stress at bay, and Reiki's superb at helping to lower stress and instilling calm and relaxation, then that alone could help to reduce some people's side effects from their health condition. Let me talk about ADHD, for example. Very recently, I had two of my students who are both on the same training with me, and they reported back that they each got a child who is suffering from and living with ADHD. And one particular lady said that every morning, in fact, her son was in trouble at school virtually every day. She was sick and tired of going up to the school to try and explain away why her son had been naughty again and was misbehaving and not paying attention. But that's because he was finding it difficult to do so. So once she'd learned how to do Reiki, once I had attuned her to do Reiki, she then, every morning when she walks her son to school, she puts her hand on his back and gives him some Reiki. So he's walking along, he's quite happy to do that, but then as soon as her son sees his little mates, she then has to stop. She doesn't want to embarrass him. Well, why's your mum got a hand on your back? But every morning she does that for him, and the beauty is, the wonderful thing is that since that's happened, he's no longer in trouble at school. Now that to me is well worth taking Reiki into your life, or bringing Reiki into your life. If you can achieve that for a loved one, that is pretty wonderful. So Reiki can actually help with all sorts of ailments, and that includes big nasty ones like cancer. Now I'm not suggesting for 1 minute, so please don't think that I am. I'm not suggesting at all that Reiki cures cancer. I'm not even suggesting that Reiki can cure anything. But what Reiki can do is to help the resolve of the person who is suffering. It can help, as I say, to bring about that calm, and it can help with some of the side effects of the health condition that somebody has got. And also, if somebody has a health condition and they're feeling tired, or they're feeling anxious, or they're feeling stressed, then the chances are that health condition will flare up. The symptoms of the health condition will be accentuated. And so anything you can do to keep that at bay has got to be a good thing. And Reiki is great for doing that. Okay, so as I say, I've said before, I'll say it again, Reiki can only be used for the highest good and not to do any harm. So that's something that has to be remembered all the time. Reiki can only do good things, potentially do good things. Okay, next. Now this is also combining a few questions that I've been asked, and that is, how often should you have Reiki to treat a particular ailment, and how long should you continue to do this for? And then also combining another question I've been asked, which is there an optimum time to spend when you place your hands on a particular area of the body? Well, really, it's a bit like how long's a piece of string, because there is no set rule, there's no set number of treatments that somebody should have for a particular health condition. Sometimes I've been asked to give Reiki to people who've had a particular health condition for 30 years. And so it's probably going to be a little bit unrealistic to expect someone who's been suffering for 30 years with a particular health condition that they can have one Reiki session that lasts, say, an hour, and then all of a sudden they're feeling wonderful and it's all gone away. Now again, just to repeat myself, you can't be specific. So there is no particular set answer to this little section of questions. What I tend to do is that if I'm giving somebody what I call a top to toe Reiki session, then when I'm not particularly specifically working on a particular part of the body, then I would hold each hand position for, say, around 3 minutes. You can actually get some music that's got a little gong in it, and you can, it sort of gongs every minute. So that if you want, then you could actually have some piece of music like that, and then that'll judge how long you're keeping your hands in any one particular hand position. That's if you're giving a top to toe general kind of Reiki session. However, if I've been asked to go and help somebody with a specific health problem, then what I tend to do is say, well, do you want me to do a top to toe session? Or do you want me to particularly focus on where your problem is? Let's say it's a problem with the shoulder. They've hurt the shoulder ache. So what I might do there is, well, I'll actually ask them, if you want me to work just on your shoulder, that's great, and that's your prerogative. You're the client, your choice. However, would you mind if I just also work on your head? And there are a few hand positions, sort of set standard hand positions, when you're working on someone's head. And I'll ask them that for the reasons that I've just explained, that in my view, an awful lot of people's physical problems could be because they're stress related, and maybe they're stressy, they're stressed out. Now, and therefore if they're stressed out, maybe you clench your body, maybe you're clenching your neck and your shoulders, and maybe that's why you've got your pain, or you're lying awkwardly. I mean, clearly, if you've fallen off a horse and fallen on your neck, then there's every chance that that's the reason why you've hurt your neck. But just to cover off my sort of thought on it, that if I can give you some Reiki on your head, if you are feeling stressed, that's going to help to relax you. That's going to help improve the way you are feeling. And if that is linked to why your neck is hurting, then I think that's got to be a good thing to do. So that's what I would do. Now, on that topic, somebody has asked me, can you do Reiki when pregnant? And the answer is yes. You can be pregnant yourself. Clearly I can't be. If I was, I'd be on TV. But so if you're pregnant and you know you're pregnant, then there's absolutely no reason why you can't give Reiki to other people or to animals. Or if you are pregnant, there's no reason why you can't receive Reiki whilst you're pregnant. In actual fact, it's a wonderful thing to do, because as we all know, pregnancy has a number of side effects, tiredness, back pain because you're carrying the extra lump around, you might get swollen ankles, all these kind of symptoms that are inherent when you're pregnant. So anything that that can be done to help to reduce that for you has got to be a good thing. So it's okay for you to give Reiki to somebody else if you're pregnant. You can give Reiki to yourself while you're pregnant. In fact, I would encourage that. And you can also receive Reiki if you're pregnant. The only thing to safeguard against is that there is potential that if you give Reiki to the soles of the feet of a pregnant lady, that could induce the birth. So that's something that I advise all of my students to avoid. If they know the person they're giving Reiki to is pregnant, and in fact I would ask them, then I would avoid giving Reiki to the soles of their feet for that reason. Okay, so another question is, I've not practiced Reiki for a number of years now. How is it best to restart the practice? Well, shame on you. No, I'm only joking. Now, if that's the case, the great thing is that once you've had an attunement to do Reiki, that remains with you for life and you don't have to be reattuned. So if you haven't been giving Reiki for a number of years, then maybe your flow of energy, the energy level, will have subsided. You may not feel confident about giving Reiki to another person if you haven't been doing it for a while. So my suggestion is that you should give yourself Reiki. So start by giving yourself Reiki, and do it on a regular basis. Do it every day. Give yourself Reiki so that you get used to, again, using the hand positions and get used to the kind of feel of what the energy flow feels like. And then when you feel ready, start giving Reiki to those around you, whether that be your loved ones or your animals, your pets or your animals that you work with, whatever. But that would be my suggestion for a starting point. And a question about a dog now. Can Reiki be given to a dog that has become stressed during the grooming process, or does it need to be a regular treatment in order to receive the benefits? Well, a bit of both actually is my answer to that. So if you are grooming a dog and that dog becomes stressed, then my recommendation or my suggestion would be that you stop the groom and you give that dog a little bit of Reiki. In fact, in the ideal world, if you've got the time and the inclination to do this, you could give Reiki to every dog that you groom. You could give Reiki as soon as the dog, when you're welcoming the dog and the owner's gone, you've sent the owner off. You don't want them interfering, and then you can give the dog a bit of Reiki. But if the dog does get stressy during the process, then let me introduce you to Reiki Rover, my little dog here who loves Reiki. So let me show you this hand position here. Hope you can see this. You can put one hand on the dog's shoulder, and then the other hand, if the dog will let you, on top of the dog's head, and hold that position a while. So you're grooming away whatever part of the grooming process you're doing, and the dog's getting all stressy and anxious. You could stop the groom, put the scissors down, put the blower down, whatever you're doing, and give the dog a bit of Reiki in that position. If they won't let you touch the head, and I know a lot of dogs don't like the heads being touched, so instead you put the hand underneath there onto the heart, and there we go. So that's a good position to help if you've got a dog that is stressful, or to answer somebody else's question, if the dog is throwing up in the car or on a bike. Again, that's probably because they're feeling anxious. So the hand position I've just shown you is a great way to try and calm that dog down. Now, this same technique can also help horses, cats, and a whole host of other animals too. Which neatly leads on to the next question, which is, does Reiki work on all animals? And also, how can I tell if my tiny dogs are enjoying the Reiki? Well, my belief is that you can use Reiki on all animals. And I've given Reiki, and I've also sent Reiki across a distance to a whole variety of animals. And if you were to have a look on my website, you'll see photographs of some of the animals that I've given Reiki to, and there's a whole variety of them, including such almost unusual animals as a skunk, a chameleon, giant tortoises, huge great tortoises, an armadillo, would you believe, and snakes, and a whole host of animals. Now, the way that you tell if your tiny dog is enjoying the Reiki is because they're likely to just relax and go to sleep. But with all animals, when you're giving them Reiki, it has to be their prerogative whether they want the Reiki or not. So your tiny dogs, or any of your animals, if they don't like it, or they've had enough, they might have started out by liking it, but then they've had enough. That's enough, thanks very much. Then they're likely to let you know by either knocking your hand away, or they might get up and walk away, or they'll pull away from you. But if they're just lying there relaxed, so that your little tiny dog is on your lap and you might be watching TV and you're giving them Reiki, and if they're happy and they're falling asleep, snoring away, then you can be assured that they're happy with the Reiki. And again, same thing applies to all animals and not just to tiny dogs. Although, of course, if you've got a big horse, you wouldn't want the horse to be lying on your lap, but that's another story. Okay, next question. Does Reiki training take up much time, and can anyone be taught Reiki? Well, actually, Reiki training doesn't take up a lot of time. This is the beauty of it. I actually run one-day live Reiki training courses in England for each of the 3 levels. That's level 1, level 2, and level 3. Level 3 is Reiki Master. And each course is a day. So that gives you that sort of time frame. I also run a variety of home learning packages where you work through a manual. I carry out a remote attunement to give you the skill set and to give you that ability to give Reiki, and then you work through the detailed manual that I supply for you, which you work through at your pace. The thing is, once you've been attuned to do Reiki, you then have the ability to do Reiki. You then just need to practice. So like anything in life, the more you practice, the better you become at it. And the same is just the same with Reiki. You don't have to study physiology or anatomy. You don't have to take any tests or exams or attend loads of seminars. You just basically practice the skills that you're shown and taught and take that forward. And that's how you become better and better and a more skilled Reiki giver. Now again, a lot of people do wonder about Reiki, and one or two things can put people off from either receiving Reiki or from learning how to do it themselves. So if you've already watched the first video in this series, you'll remember how I explained that just because you can't see Reiki, it doesn't mean it's not working. So in the same way, you can't see anything when you click the TV controller to change the channel. Now, of course, there are never any guarantees that Reiki will work for everyone and for every situation, much as it's the same with traditional medicines. No doctor or vet will ever give you a guarantee that the treatments will definitely work, and this is the same with Reiki. I never make any diagnosis, as I'm not qualified to do so, and I never make any promises of a cure. In my view, that is totally unethical. However, many thousands of people around the world have found that Reiki does help in a whole host of situations. So I do hope this short video has been helpful, and in the next video I will answer questions like, can we give Reiki to people without asking them first? Does Reiki energy flow through my hands regardless of using any symbols or setting an intention? During the Reiki session treatment, how often should you use the symbols, and is it just a couple of times or every time you change the hand positions? Other questions are being asked and I'm going to answer in the next video are, how does Reiki work remotely, and can it be applied as distance healing and for all beings at all times? And I'll also answer some more of your animal related questions. Now, if you've enjoyed this, I'd love to hear from you. Please leave me a comment, and please also watch out for my last video in this little series, which is coming very soon. But until then, thanks for watching and bye for now.